Hi, I'm Max Walker-Williams, and today I've travelled to Amsterdam to be here at the Bitcoin conference to interview a couple of Bitcoin maxis and to learn as much as I possibly can from the source about Bitcoin. Let's go. Hi, I'm Max Walker-Williams, and today I have the absolute pleasure of being with Marc Friedrich. Marc is a 6 times best-selling author. In fact, he's the most successful author for non-fiction in all of Germany. He's also an economic expert and thought leader. Marc is the founder and CEO of Friedrich-Partner.de, an incredibly successful wealth, investment and management firm. Marc, thanks so much for taking the time to join me today. Yeah. How are you finding it here in sunny Amsterdam at the Bitcoin conference?
Beautiful, beautiful.
Good.
But the pleasure is mine, of course, and it's definitely great to see you finally.
Thank you very much. Thank you indeed. And because you're a speaker today, aren't you?
Tomorrow. I'm on the panel. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And what's your topic?
It will be the euro and Bitcoin. So right, we see the end of the fiat system and. Yeah. Why is euro the solution? Why is Bitcoin the solution? Sorry. Okay, we have to cut this one.
Okay, that's just subconscious. Okay, and so just touch on that a little bit. So, is it just a talking point, or is there an assumption that fiat's coming to an end?
It's my assumption, actually. I think
really?
we see the end game of the fiat monetary system, and we will see a new monetary system. And if we're lucky, it will be Bitcoin. But if we're unlucky, it will be a digital currency made by the central banks of the world.
I've got so many questions just off that, what you've just said. Why and how do you think it's the end of fiat currency?
Yeah, because the fiat currency is limited by math. It's a natural law. Yeah. And right now we see in the last 10-15 years, we see that the system always expanded. And right now we are at the end of it. The central banks are desperate. You know, we see the central bank balance sheets, we see them at record levels, and we see they are more and more desperate about tightening. They try to tighten the whole system. The last 15 years, since the financial crisis in 2008, they expanded their balance sheet and they bought everything, you know, treasuries and even like the Bank of Switzerland, they even bought shares. They're like one of the biggest hedge funds. They own Facebook shares, Apple shares and so on. But right now the system is on the brink of a collapse, and that's why, for example, the Bank of England started again buying treasuries and to save the pension funds.
Yes.
And yeah, it's limited by time, and monetary systems, fiat systems, you know, when you create money out of thin air, always end with a big bang. And right now we're in the 75th year of this debt cycle, and that means we need a new monetary system, and we will see restructuring of the debts and restructuring of the whole monetary system. And that's why I say in the next couple of years we will witness the end of this monetary system, and we should prepare for it.
I just want to question you on that, because although I agree about the fiat system and how, you know, inflation is tax on hardworking people, and I completely agree with that. But it's one thing that I created a YouTube video about called the money supply myth, and one of the things that a lot of people don't seem to understand or do understand and disagree with me on is that although you can't keep printing more and more money, and Voltaire, you know, said that at the end all money goes back to its inherent value, which is zero, and we've seen that through history. You know, the Romans with melting down coins and putting in impurities. But today is digital, and so it's different. And in 2008, 32% of all the money in supply in the UK disappeared out of the system through forfeitures, you know, repossessions. So, you know, an easy, quick example for the people watching, not for yourself, obviously, but is that if you've got a £100,000 house, and it's worth £100,000 at the time you buy it, and you have a 100% mortgage, you owe £100,000 on that house. If property prices drop by 20%, your house is now worth 80,000, you lose your job, you can't pay your mortgage, it gets repossessed, you personally go bankrupt, the £20,000 is just forgiven, disappears, it's bad debt. And that comes out of the system, which is obviously what the credit crunch was. It was a shrinking of the money supply.
Exactly.
So why won't that just happen again? Now, I'm not suggesting that's an easy process. I'm not suggesting it's going to be fun. But it doesn't necessarily mean the end of money, because and people keep saying, well, they keep printing. But they're not printing, they're just adding zeros to a balance sheet, which they can easily delete.
Yeah.
It's taken 75 years to print it, but it'll take 2 minutes to delete it.
Exactly, and that's what they will try, definitely. We will see a shrinking of the money supply. And
deflation.
We will see deflation, we will see a recession, we will see deflation, even perhaps a depression, and we will see that majority of the people will get poorer, of course. But it comes with inflation, it comes with social unrest. People won't be happy if they just look at their account and see 50% is off, because we see some restructuring of the debts, for example, of the monetary system. So that's why I think we will see higher inflation, and we will see social unrest in the streets all over Europe. And we already see the collateral damage from the policy of the European Central Bank, or of the Bank of England, or of the Fed. And we see that the gap between the rich people and the normal people is getting bigger and bigger. Yeah. And even if you have a good paid job in the UK or in Europe or in Germany, you can't afford a house anymore, because with the rising money supply and with more and more treasuries bought by the central banks, you see a real estate bubble, for example. And you're from the real estate business, you see it by yourself.
Yes.
The prices just doubled, even on the countryside. In the cities, we have the prices tripled even. But does it mean I'm richer now? Does it mean I have a bigger house, or the garden just doubled? Yeah, no, it didn't. No. So it's just on the paper, and it shows that our currency got weaker and weaker, and the purchasing power of the pound, of the euro, just got smaller. So actually they already stole our purchasing power in the last couple of years, and those who owned like real estate, like stocks or Bitcoin, got richer and richer by doing nothing actually. Yeah. And this is actually this is actually always the same in the cycle. Afterwards you see revolution or war, and that's what we see right now in Europe. Nobody can deny it. We see social unrest happening, we see what's happening, and I don't think that the central banks can control it anymore, that they print more money and social unrest already happening here. And
he's with you.
He's with me. Yeah. He's with me. And people will get on the streets and will ask for a different politic and will ask for a different monetary system. Yeah. And that's why the people find, for example, will find Bitcoin or sound money like gold and so on. And I don't think that the central banks can save the system again like in 2008. It's at the end actually. It's limited, and it's math and it's natural law. Yeah. And that's why I think we will witness the end of the fiat system in the next couple of years. And if I'm proven wrong, I come back and you can throw tomatoes at me. I don't mind. Yeah. I'm happy if I'm wrong.
Make a note of that.
Yeah. Reminder.
Set a reminder on my phone. So in your mind, what does that look like? So we wake up on Monday in a couple of years' time, and what you've prophesized has come true. What does it look like? What's the transition? Who goes first? Is it that people just stop using money and just, do the people decide, or does the government? How does that play out?
And I think the system will end with the people. So when the people lose trust in the bills, in the coins,
yes.
it's immediately over. Yes. It will happen so fast. So and I think we'll witness it pretty soon, and people will decide. Will we choose for the new monetary system something like we all know for ages, like gold, or will it be Bitcoin? I think it will be a mixture, actually.
Okay. And if everybody decides somehow that society decides, people decide that money is still in play, but nobody uses it. It's like the Weimar Republic. It's just not worth anything. But actually, we're going to use this cryptocurrency, and it's Bitcoin, for example. There are issues there because scalability with Bitcoin, and I know it's being addressed with layer 2s, like the Lightning Network, but what about the volatility? Because you face another serious problem, which is why Bitcoin's 13 years old, and it's one of the reasons I assume that Bitcoin isn't already a widely accepted or even mainstream form of transfer. And that's because if you go into a shop and the guy's pricing bread in Bitcoin, today it's 50 pence for a loaf of bread, tomorrow it's £10 for a loaf of bread, and the day after it could be 30 pence. So you're hesitant to buy the loaf of bread, and he's hesitant to price it. How do we get over that? How does Bitcoin fix that problem?
I think with the time, the volatility in Bitcoin will go. Because right now we have more and more illiquid scarcity. You see, people hodl. They just hodl. They stack sets and just don't spend it on anything. I don't know people who spend, for example, a Bitcoin for a ticket at a conference or something.
Yeah.
You know, the Bitcoin maximalist just hodl. So, but I think with more and more people who get into the Bitcoin space and buying Bitcoin, holding Bitcoin, we see the volatility will definitely shrink in the price movements, because right now it's speculation. Actually, it's an investment. We see so many traders who speculate in a range between 21 or 19,000 bucks and pump the price. And if you have even a small stack of Bitcoin, you can manipulate the price right now.
Yes.
And it's what's happening actually.
Yeah,
so
it's been proven.
It's proven.
Times.
It's proven.
Yeah,
Nobody can deny it. Even
a
if
couple
you
of individuals have been manipulating the price.
Exactly,
for years,
exactly.
yeah.
And you can do it with like only 50 or 100 Bitcoins. It's
Yes.
not a lot. So you can manipulate the price $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 up or down. And I think this will be done in the next couple of years, because more people will own Bitcoin. You know, and if it's only a small portion of Bitcoin, but if somebody owns 0.1 Bitcoin and another one like 2.2 Bitcoin, the volatility will be gone. There are only 21 million Bitcoins in the system, but I think 4 or 5 millions are already lost. And so we will see the volatility gone in the next couple of years. And as soon as Bitcoin is accepted as money, you will see even the volatility will go down even more. So I'm positive thinking, and we see Lightning, we see developments on the side chains, and there will be more innovation in the next couple of years we can't imagine. I talk to people already, and they have crazy ideas, and some of them will work, and the most of them won't work, yeah, of course, to be honest. But it will happen. It will happen. And you see the euro, the pound are more volatile than Bitcoin right now. It's crazy. You know, they're on the run to zero actually. You know.
Yeah.
And if you compare Bitcoin, the euro against Bitcoin or the pound against Bitcoin, we are already in a hyperinflation. Because since Bitcoin was established, we see 99.99% purchasing power got lost against Bitcoin. So that's why I think Bitcoin is superior and will win, and the volatility will be gone. And right now I would just buy in small portions, you know, and just wait, and the time will play for Bitcoin.
But that last thing you said there, where you recommend people buy and hold, and as you said, people, you know, hold on to their Bitcoins, doesn't that compound the problem? Because there is only 21 million. You estimate that 5 million have already been lost. So how does the whole world use Bitcoin to facilitate anything when nobody's willing to use it for a conference?
Yeah.
It compounds the problem. It'll become a deflationary problem, because the price of Bitcoin will keep rising. The more people that come in, the more people that buy it, the higher the price goes, the less there is in circulation, the less they're being spent, higher the loaf of bread goes. So, the cheaper the loaf of bread goes, and the less likely the owner of the bread is likely to sell it today, because, you know, the price might get better tomorrow or worse tomorrow. So, for me, I just can't see how that fluctuating, or not even fluctuating, just how that growth in Bitcoin's price, its biggest asset is also its biggest liability, in that because it is what it is, people want to hold it, they believe in it and so on, but it's got to become money. It's got to almost become worthless in order to be spent. Yeah. You wouldn't spend something that you believe is going to be worth more tomorrow.
Yeah, but if this whole monetary system collapses,
yes,
you need something, a substitute.
Yes.
And the substitute will be perhaps gold, but perhaps even Bitcoin. I believe it will be Bitcoin. Bitcoin will be the world standard, and not chosen by the governments, chosen by the people. And it's the most democratic choice and money we will ever have seen. So if the price goes to 500,000 or 1 million in fiat, nobody will care about it, because you don't price it in fiat anymore. You will just say, okay, if I have like 1 Satoshi, I can buy a flat or a bicycle or a beer. So that's how it will work, and people will spend it because there's no alternative. People will get paid in Bitcoin, and even perhaps on other coins. Perhaps there will be like stable coins or something like connected to Bitcoin,
yes,
and then you have another volume of, it's not limited anymore, there's no cap anymore. But we will see, because of this crisis, because of this end of this monetary system, we will see innovation in the system. And if you talk to people like Adam Back or somebody else, Lightning Network and so on, there will be alternatives, there will be solutions in the system, and this will be just great, I think. And that's why I think Bitcoin will be definitely like a currency, will be traded like a currency, and people will spend it. I would spend it. If I don't have euro or pound or dollar, what do you spend?
Yeah,
you don't have a gold coin or a silver coin. You can do it, but it's not practical.
Yeah.
You know. But I can pay, for example, my translator on Bali by Lightning. I just send him the money, and there is no fee, there's no bank involved, and he gets the money immediately. What what a time to be alive, to be honest, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And same with you, if I stay at your hotel and I pay you by Bitcoin, you don't have to pay like 1% for MasterCard or Visa and the Mafia and so on. Yeah, you just get the money directly, and then you offer me perhaps even a discount. You say, hey, Mark, if you pay with Bitcoin, I give you an extra room, or I invite you for a beer. Yeah, so hey, win-win for everybody.
Yeah, okay, it's exciting, and I love your passion about the future and that you're hopeful.
Yeah, I'm very optimistic.
Yes.
I'm very optimistic, and I think crises, and that's what I showed in my last book. Crises are really important because they are a part of the evolution of mankind, of us human beings. And if you look back in history, every crisis was actually something like a paradigm shift, and we got into innovations. We discovered the fire. We discovered the car and oil and everything. Yeah. So every crisis we need actually to make a jump forward. Yes. And that's what we see right now. And I think the next main point will be money, the monetary system, because it sucks and it destroys everything. We have a fiat monetary system. It's a scam actually, and we have a scam system everywhere. It's health and it's everywhere.
Yeah. Okay. You touched on just briefly that at the very beginning of the video. You were just saying that you think that if you're lucky, if we, the collective we, are lucky, it'll be Bitcoin. But if we're unlucky, it'll be a digitalized, centralized currency. How do you think President Biden might see this video and say, we need to get ahead of this? Mark is right, this is going to happen, so let's get ahead of it. Let's create our own Bitcoin and we'll make that the standard.
It's happening, Max. It's happening already. Okay. 105 countries already
CBDCs.
Exactly experiencing and do an experiment on CBDCs. So we see it in Germany, we see it in Europe. So with the ECB, we see it in the UK and we see it in the US. There will be a digital dollar because they see all the advantages on their side. Yeah. And they will sell it to us like, hey, it's great, it's easy, it's comfortable, nobody can steal your dollars out of your pocket.
We can't print anymore.
Exactly, but it's
in the small print.
Exactly, it's the same scam, but in the digital world. They just put it on another level.
Yeah.
But then you see, look at China, what they do with their digital yuan. It's like manipulating people and suppressing them. So if you, for example, say, okay, I don't want to have my 5th shot of COVID, yeah, then they just say, okay, you're not allowed to buy a train ticket. Or if you go on a demonstration against, I don't know, whatever, I don't know. So people or the government will just say, hey, you can't leave your house because you're not allowed to, or you get a fine. They can collect money directly from your central bank account.
And track everyone's money.
And track everything.
And it's all on blockchain or Hashgraph.
Exactly. Yeah. It will be on blockchain. It will be perhaps on Ripple or something else. But anyhow, it's actually an instrument to slave us all. And this is like the dream of every totalitarian system like China. And George Orwell would just like spin around in his grave,
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because it's the power of the technology being used against people.
But they will sell us as like, hey, it's more freedom and more flexibility and you will love it and it's so easy and it's comfortable and cozy. Yeah. And we're so blinded and lazy, we will say, oh yeah, it's great, give it to me.
Yeah, okay. And a lot of the Bitcoin maxis and lovers of Bitcoin are often saying that Bitcoin is decentralized and it can't be corrupted by the government. But something I've never fully understood or got the answer to, and maybe you could help me understand, is that if the American government wanted to restrict or potentially even just collapse Bitcoin, they're so powerful, the American government. The money they spend on military defense, is more than the next
800 billion.
Yeah, more than the next 19 countries put together, and they're all allies. Yeah. So if they put some of that, if they put 10% of that into controlling or even destroying Bitcoin, they don't have to track you. They don't have to make it illegal. They don't have to do anything. All they have to do is invest money into mines, and then once they centralize the mining of Bitcoin, they then control it. Because more than 33%, they can change the order of. They could just collapse the whole system. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with that statement, that is a possibility, technically and practically? And if so, is there any defense against that? So Biden says, right, we can't ban Bitcoin, but I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to create the world's biggest. We're going to create a mine that's 10 times bigger than all the other mines put together, and start mining Bitcoin. How do you stop them? You can't. It's decentralized. So it's something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, and I can't find an answer in a way of defense against that attack.
So you mean if they start a 51% attack on the blockchain?
Yeah.
It will be so expensive for them to do that. And it's
they're the American government. They'll just print money. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I see the point. It's a valid point, of course. But I don't know if it's possible. Because let's think through it.
Yeah.
They buy all the mining rigs and they start a blockchain, and we know, okay, there's a new company and it's financed by the Fed or by the US government.
But you can't. But that's the whole point.
Yeah.
And again, coming back to Bitcoin, some of its strongest assets are its weakest, are its liabilities too. For example, F2 Pool. So F2 Pool, Chinese-based company or Chinese-owned company, they account for 18% of all the hashing power on Bitcoin.
True.
But that 18% is made up of different pools within a pool because it's a pool.
Yeah.
Now, I've made videos where I've kind of suggested that might not be wholly true because they're quite a corrupt company, been caught doing naughty things a couple of times, putting back doors into mining hardware, for example. But that aside, the point is a private enterprise that is a billionth the size of power, people, mind compared to the American government have managed to get, in one way or another, effectively 18% control of the hashing power. I don't believe for a second if the American government put them, or any other government for that matter, put their mind to it. The UN. So the UN says, right, we're going to control Bitcoin.
Yeah.
What are you going to do to stop them?
Yeah. Okay. So if they invest all this money and they have they try an attack on the Bitcoin blockchain, then the price goes to zero, and then
Bitcoin's dead.
Yeah. And what happens to the government?
We have to choose the alternative, which is the CBDC, or we have to stick with the fiat.
Good point. I will mention this in my book. I will look for a solution.
Thank you. I've been looking for a solution.
I come back to the channel, but I'm writing a book right now about Bitcoin, and I just look at all the weak points at the Bitcoin blockchain and at Bitcoin at all.
Yeah.
So this is a point I thought already it's solved, but
I'll send you a link to a video I've done about some of the things that Bitcoin maxis won't tell you about Bitcoin.
Yeah, please do so.
Yeah, have a look and see what you think.
Yeah,
I'd love. I've said to a few friends that I know that are very well educated in the space, thought leaders in the Bitcoin community, and not many of them come back with much counter arguments. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm not a fanatic or dogmatic.
And it's coming from a good place.
Exactly.
I want to know the answer.
Yeah, exactly. Me too.
Anyway.
It's still an experience, and it's still a new innovation. Actually, Bitcoin is only like 13 years old.
Yeah.
But anyhow, we can talk to Adam later, Adam Beck, and ask him what the solution is. But I think I already heard something back in the time why it's not possible, but I can't remember what it was. But I will come back to you with a solution if I find one. If not, then we have to look for another solution.
Okay, we'll work together and get it sorted.
Definitely.
So, I mean, I think I already know the answer, but just speaking in general terms, because there are many asset classes, which do you believe is the best single asset class for wealth protection?
Oh man, I think real assets actually. It's a mixture. But it depends how many.
You can only pick one.
Net worth. Or
so I'm telling you, right? All your wealth, you've got to put it into one thing. It could be anything you like. It could be stamps, food, gold, bullion, property,
health.
Good answer, but
but I think I would take diamonds.
Diamonds.
Yeah.
Why?
They're portable. I can check in Manchester. The airport can go through the detector, and I'm gone.
And you're gone, yeah.
It's or Bitcoin. Bitcoin, of course.
Or Bitcoin.
Actually, it's Bitcoin. Sorry, it's Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin.
Yeah,
because it's the same. It's the same, actually.
Okay. All right. Okay. And what about for, because one of the things, there's a difference, obviously, between an asset and an investment. And for me, my understanding is that an asset is something that holds value.
Exactly.
And is basically, in simple terms, capital appreciation.
Yeah.
But an investment, in my mind, is where something holds value, but capital appreciation is almost secondary.
Yeah.
It's passive income.
Yeah.
And so, and Bitcoin, as far as I know, and please correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't fit the investment category because it's an asset, but it's not an investment because
speculation.
Because because there's no, I can't earn anything off the Bitcoin other than the price of it going up. But in order to crystallize that profit, I've got to sell the Bitcoin. So it's an investment, but it's not an asset.
You can lend it, but I wouldn't recommend that.
No. So which is the best asset across any assets you can pick? And again, diamonds, in my mind, are an asset, but they're not an investment because you don't get paid money every week like you do with property, for example.
Yeah.
So which would you say? Is it stocks, shares, bonds? Is there an asset to Bitcoin that I don't understand? As a passive income investment, which is the best?
In the past, it was, of course, real estate, stocks, dividend stocks, and, of course, your own business. If you invest in your own business, it's the best investment you can do. You have the best return on investment. I think in the future, future it will change a little. I'm not too bullish on real estate, and don't worry, I'm born in a real estate company, a family actually who owned a construction company, and we had a lot of real estate, but I sold nearly all of them because I think the bubble will definitely go bust, and the prices will go down because of demographics, because of a recession and everything else, you know. Yeah. So I don't think the real estate will be the best investment in the next couple of years, and of course the governments will tax it. That's another thing because they're all actually bankrupt. So, but I think stocks will be really interesting in the next couple of years. If we see a big correction, a big crash, then you can buy stocks in commodities, for example. I think this will be the big next trend. Yeah. So not growth shares, it will be value shares, value stocks, like copper mines, uranium. I had them all in my book actually, which I prefer. And then, of course, invest in your own business, in your own company, and then
or yourself,
in yourself, in your education. You know, subscribe your channel or mine, of course, and absolutely. Educate yourself. It's the best return on investment you can make if you invest in your health and in your education.
Warren Buffett famously said that diversification is a hedge against ignorance, meaning that if you have to diversify, it's because you don't fully understand what you're buying. Because if you did, why wouldn't you buy all of it? And if you don't want to buy any of it, why would you buy any of it? Do you agree with that, or do you think diversification is important?
Yeah. Right now, because in the last couple of years, investment strategies changed definitely. In the past 20, 30 years, you just could do like passive investing. You bought an ETF on the MSCI and you were fine. Yeah, you just hadn't to do anything. But right now, you have to be active actually in investing. So I think diversification is more important than ever. And I wouldn't, you know, would you go to the casino and go to the roulette desk and put all your money on one number? You wouldn't do that. No. And that's why I think you need different asset classes in your portfolio. You know, like for example, real assets like gold, silver, diamonds. Stocks, perhaps real estate, which you own by yourself and you live in there, for example. I wouldn't buy for renting. Your own company, like land, different real assets, you know. Yeah. And I think diversification is more than ever important, because if you, for example, I would say, never own more than 30% in one asset class, because then you have a risk of, I don't know the English word, Klumpenrisiko. You have too much risk in one asset, and if it goes belly up, you have a real problem. Yeah. So that's why I like to diversify in uncertain times like this especially. Okay. And that's what proves history. If you look back in history, if you check the crisis of the last 200, 300, 400 years, monetary crisis, government crisis, inflations, hyperinflation, it was always good if you had a diversified portfolio of different assets. And one goes like down and the other one goes up, and then you're just fine.
I actually fully agree with you, and the reason I agree is because what Warren Buffett was saying was that if you diversify, it just means that you don't understand what you're investing in. But that isn't necessarily true, because if I ever had the honour of interviewing him, my question would be, but I could be fully invested in a company or gold or anything and understand everything there is to know on earth about that asset class and still lose all my money anyway for an unseen event. Black Swan, for example. You know, exactly. A meteor hits the earth, kills half the world, but it's made of solid gold. Yeah, the price of gold is going to fall away. Exactly. But I knew everything there was to know about gold. You could be right and still be wrong. Yeah.
Or the government comes out and says, "Hey, we forbid trading.
Gold.
Yeah, confiscate gold or something. It's over. Game over." And then you were right. The case was beautiful, was great, but you just lost all your money, and that's it. Or they say, "Okay, we forbid Bitcoin trading Bitcoin, we close Kraken, Coinbase and everything. So what are you doing?" Okay, of course there will be P2P and a black market, but anyhow, you can be right with your investment strategy, but if the government, for example, plays in a different direction, you're and that's why I like to diversify, because we are living in uncertain times. I think everybody knows it, everybody feels it, that we see a paradigm shift right now in everything. We will never go back to the time before COVID. It's over. Now you have to think differently. We have to take another path, and that's why you also have to invest differently than the years before. I wouldn't put all my money in stocks anymore. You know, I had like 30% in the last couple of years, but now I reduce it to beneath 5%, because I think there will be a big crash. And right now, I was right so far, and I wait for the bottom. You know.
Well, the minute a company started borrowing money to buy up their own stock,
exactly,
I think it was over.
Yeah.
You know,
it's always a sign.
Which is something a practice that's been illegal in America because it was a massive cause of the Great Depression, and then from 1929 all the way up to I think it was 1989, this particular law was overturned, so that companies could legally buy their own stocks.
Exactly.
And that's just then the whole thing becomes a scam. You borrow money at 1%.
It's a Ponzi scheme. It's a Ponzi scheme, you know, and Ponzi schemes always collapse.
Yes.
And that's what we're witnessing.
Mathematically impossible.
And that's what we're witnessing right now, actually.
Yes.
So everybody should put a belt on and buckle up and see what's going on. It will be a wild ride, and that's what I tried to explain in my last book about the cycles. It's always cycles. Our life is definitely dominated by cycles. You know, you get born, you're young, you get old, day and night, life and death, everything. It's cycles everywhere. It's math. Actually, it's math. And also the cycles with the monetary system or with the government systems, with the power systems. And right now we are at the end of many cycles, and a new cycle will begin. The long debt cycle is ending right now, actually, and we see how desperate the central banks are and the governments, and we just see how desperate they fight to survive. You know, look at Liz Truss, for example. Look at the Bank of England. Look what happened in Italy, you know, with Meloni, and in Sweden and everywhere. It's just crazy, and this will be historic. It will be in the historian books in the future, but the next couple of years will be wild. And I hope I'm wrong, but I think we will see great shifts in everything, in the society, in the monetary system, in the investment system, of course, as well. And we will see banks go down the river, will collapse and will go bust, and we will see a new monetary system. And it's not different than 100 years ago. But the problem is, it's a generational cycle as well. I described in the book, and you also can read the book from Neil Howe. It's called Fourth Turning. Right. Every 70 to 100 years, you see a monetary system go bust, and the last time it was 77 years ago, 1944, with the Bretton Woods system. And if the monetary system changes, you see a shift in the power system as well, you know, between, I don't know, China, the UK, US, and so on. And now we see the end of Pax Americana. We see the end of the dollar as a world currency. And right now they are successful fighting against it, the states, because the dollar is very strong.
But the pressure is increasing.
It's increasing, and we
politically
see,
as well as financially.
Yeah, and we see already, like Saudi Arabia or China, they trade oil not with the petrodollar anymore. No. They use different currencies, and this is the end. They're sick of it, and we see those countries, the BRIC countries, come together and try to create a new monetary system. And if they win, we also have a fiat scam again. But I hope Bitcoin will be dominant and will chosen by the people, and that's why the cycles always end. And one more thing about the generational cycle.
No, it's okay. Sorry. It's your interview.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Yeah, I was born as a son of. No, just kidding. And it's a hubris. What's it called?
Hubris.
Hubris. It's a hubris that we think we dominate everything, because we never witnessed a real crisis. You know, because all the people who, for example, experienced the Second World War, they're actually dead. Yes. So we don't know this story anymore. We know it from books, but we never experienced it.
Never lived it. Yeah.
We never lived through it, you know? Yeah. And that's why we need a new catharsis, a new crisis to change the system. And we are like, we're rotten to the core, actually. If you see what kind of topics we have right now, what's your pronoun? We need a third toilet for the third gender and whatever. Yeah. It's decadency, you know, late Roman decadency we're living right now. And right now I have this picture with Nero on top of Rome playing the violin, and everything is burning
around.
And we're talking.
We're arguing about toilets.
Yeah, and we're talking about nonsense stuff. So we have the luxury talking about this stuff. It's great, but it's a waste of time, and it's a sign that we're at the end of our civilization, and that's all the cycles. And
as it currently is, then I don't want to worry people. It's not the end of civilization. The end of civilization as it currently in its current form.
The end of our system we're known and we're used to. But we will survive. Oh God, of course. But there will be a golden era, you know, because if you look back in the history, in history, for example, in 1945, Germany lost the war. It was totally destroyed. For example, my hometown, Stuttgart, was bombed. 99% of the buildings were gone. But as a matter of fact, this catastrophic event was the foundation for the greatest development in history, actually. Germany became the powerhouse, the economic powerhouse of the world. Made in Germany was respected everywhere, all over the world. And we had the greatest wealth effect in history. But the foundation of this development was a catastrophic event like the Second World War. Imagine. And now see our crisis, we have a global crisis. Back then it was just a European crisis, a German crisis, but now we have a global crisis. And this will bring us to a totally new level of understanding and awareness, and it will be just a great development. I think it will be a golden era, and it will last longer than the last system.
Yes. So it'll be, yeah, so evolution is painful, and in nature, we see it everywhere. Birth is, physical birth, the human birth is painful, but from that comes new life.
No pain, no gain.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
No pain, no gain.
So just briefly, because I know you're incredibly busy, but what does Friedrich-Partners do? What services does the business?
I'm a financial consultant. We build like customized strategies to protect the wealth of our customers. That's private persons, very wealthy persons, or companies or family offices. And I also have a big YouTube channel. I try to educate the majority of the people about financial intelligence and what is Bitcoin, how do you invest in gold, and what do I do with my life insurance, and so on, and try to give them the big picture, macro, and so on. So that's what I'm doing. I'm also the founder of the first physical backed mutual fund in Germany.
Wow.
I'm an advisor to this. It's right now we have around 70 million in this mutual fund, and I'm a keynote speaker as well. So if you want to book me, just get in contact with me, and I come to Amsterdam or to Chester or to wherever, or to the Dales. Who knows?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, bring the hat.
They're from the Isle of Skye, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So fantastic. What's the main difference between German investors and British investors?
We have more money.
Yeah.
We're richer. It's the truth.
Is that true per capita?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And you see that makes a difference. How does that present itself in practical terms? Are Germans more cautious?
Yes, definitely. I have customers from the UK and from Ireland and Scotland and everywhere. So it's the same, I know, somehow. But I think some of them are really, really professional, especially when they have a financial background. They're like really, really keen on everything. They want to
the German investors.
No, the English investors.
The British investors.
But the German investors are really, really full with German angst because of the hyperinflation our grandfathers experienced in 1923.
Yes.
So inflation is a big topic here. It's just a big topic in the UK.
Yeah.
It will be one now,
yes,
in the next couple of years,
but
and
we
in the
have
next
never
generation.
Experienced what you
exactly.
The Weimar Republic.
But you will experience it now, and the next generation will definitely suffer because of this inflation, of this hyperinflation. We have, I think, right now over 10% in the UK, and they expect like 18 or 23%. But the real inflation is much higher. If you go to Tesco, to the grocery store, you all see butter, milk, everything got more expensive. It's crazy. My customers tell me every time, oh, it's crazy. I spent like 150 quids for my grocery.
Yeah.
It was like, it used to be 80 or something.
And they're shrinking the products as well.
Shrinkflation, it's a big topic.
Shrinkflation.
I saw it on the orange juice.
Everything's getting smaller.
Yeah, it's smaller, but
the price is the same, but it's smaller.
Even higher.
Yeah. Yeah, worse. The price goes up and the product.
For example, peanut butter. I just saw it. I love peanut butter because I'm vegetarian, and I just saw it's 430 grams. It used to be 500, and the price went from $3.99 to $4.99. What a scam!
Yeah, it's crazy.
Thefts, and inflation is theft.
It's taxation.
It's taxation and it's theft, because I spent my time of life to earn money, and the government just says. And that's because of the ECB and Bank of England, and that's what people have to understand. You never get it back.
No.
You spend your lifetime for earning money, and then you just get big time.
Okay, so it's last question. It's 2033.
Already? Yeah. It's a pity.
It's 2033, so it's in 10 years' time. How much is one Bitcoin?
Between 1 and 7 million.
Really?
But we don't measure it then anymore in fiat. No, but then we don't measure it anymore in fiat.
No, I understand. Yeah,
there won't be.
But in today's comparison, so we have something to compare it.
Exactly.
Yes.
You can buy with 1 Bitcoin. You will buy a house in a decent area.
Wow.
Or it will be worth nothing. It will be an NFT or something.
It's going to be a heck of a journey.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's it. There's just 2 solutions.
1 to 7 million.
Either it goes through the roof, or it will be worthless. That's it. It's a gamble, of course.
Yes.
But I think the chances are big that we will see like one house for one Bitcoin, and that it will change the world. It's the only solution we have right now, actually, to have a better future and to have a more democratic and decentralized monetary system. Or it will fail. That's it. So that's how you have to.
I agree with everything you've said, except I believe it's going to be a Hedera hash graph that's going to be the answer. But
we talk about this next time.
Time will tell. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Real
It was
pleasure.
great.
Thank you. That's it, guys. Unfortunately, Marc's going to get back. I'm sure he's incredibly busy. But thank you ever so much for watching. I'll put in the description below all of the links to Marc's websites, his bio, and his book, so you can buy them and check them out. I highly recommend you do. The guy clearly knows his stuff. I'll see you soon.